right, it's day breaking on the rise news, and it's time for the press preview. First look at what's on the front pages of the papers. Of course, usually we start with our sister publication this day. And this day has as its headline story: Buhari meets governors, moves to choose successor, still consulting. Of course, I think he traveled out. Says his candidate will give Nigerians sense of victory, confidence ahead of poll. Governors meeting deadlocked. Out the fallout of that meeting with the president. NWC members accuse Adamu is the chairman of the NWC, of rendering body redundant, taking unilateral decisions. This is coming from two vice chairmen, one from the south and one from the north. We'll talk about that. Of course, you can see the picture there of consulting on his successor, the president, with the governors. And down there, Okorocha meets bail conditions, makes APC presidential screening as exercise ends. That was quite late yesterday. This is found on page 43, interesting times. Below the logo, 2022, your votes will count. Yakubu assures Ekiti electorate. That's the INEC chairman. Says, monetize politics, not good for election. And then just on the topmost, Clark, are you a thoughtless, partial leader? He should resign. With a rider there, too, declares Tambuwa's decision arranged, dishonorable, tragic betrayal. Says Peter Obi's position now vindicated. PDP to present certificate of return to Atiku others today. All right.
The Punch newspaper is leading with presidency search for strong consensus candidate. Buhari directs APC governors, and the president has embarked on his eighth foreign trip in 5 months. Okada ban begins today. Lagos deploys more boats. Kidnappers showed us decomposing bodies. The church paid 100 million naira ransom. That's the Methodist prelate who was kidnapped last week, Sunday. There's more. Ex-Imo Governor Okorocha gets bail, leaves EFCC custody.
All right, the Tribune, Nigerian Tribune, loaded. He still has the same story. I need your support in picking my successor, coming from the president, he tells APC governors. And then just below that picture, of course, you see the president and the NWC chairman of the APC. Oyegu, APC, NWC set for a showdown with Adamu, as zonal chairman accuse him of constitutional breaches. And then PDP just above the logo, PDP National Convention fallout, that this day has it there. To resign now, Clark tells Ayu. And then the Methodist prelate that was just released from captivity. Abductors collected 100 million before release. Oyegu panel concludes screening. That was yesterday. Lagos Okada ban, police, DSS, Navy, others in road show ahead of today's enforcement, that is June 1. And then monkeypox, FD directs hunters, bush meat sellers to discontinue business. Whether they will hit to it is another matter.
The Nation newspaper is leading with Buhari seeks APC governor support to pick successor. Monkeypox, federal government bans sale consumption of bush meat, and members gave my abductors 100 million naira ransom. That's according to the Methodist prelate.
All right, let's go to the international papers. PMI paper. Prime Minister phoning Tory MPs to save his job. Ken?
Okay, let's move on now to the Times. Ethics chief threatens to resign over number 10 parties.
And the Guardian, all right, it says ministers accused of fueling anger as rise in violence hits GP surgeries.
In the Financial Times, EU-UK pact on insurance ban deals fresh blow to Russian oil exports.
All right, just one more. Okay, one more foreign paper.
Elliott ends sporting foray with 1.2 billion euro sale of champions AC Milan to Redbird.
All right, sorry about that. Daily Express, tears and fury as travel carnage worsens. All right, we're bringing Emmanuel Bello, who is here with us to do the preview. We start, of course, from this day. Some very important stories. Well, it's interesting that the president is asking the governors, he's appealing to them, let me choose my successor, because he says, that's the way you do it in your states, and you should give me this opportunity. And then there's this back and forth with the NWC chairman, a vice chairman from the north and Kekemeke from the west are accusing the chairman of going beyond his pay grade. He's taking decisions unilaterally. And then, of course, there's Ayu, talking about the PDP's convention. You could take this three in your stride, Emmanuel.
Yeah, good morning, Andy. Let's look at what the president said, asking governors to give him the opportunity to produce his successor. The president is already in that role. He started that when I think he spoke to this network where he talked about his successor and said he was keeping that to his heart, and that if he reveals his identity, this successor might be attacked or something, that something bad could happen to his successor. So he's having all this, that successor's state of mind kind of a thing. He's thinking of giving this country a successor. But that's also part of the problem. Many Nigerians will say that, look, it is not up to the president to give us a success, to give this country a successor, but it's up to the electorate to decide who eventually becomes the next president of this country. But that's the president also is making the case that, look, everyone that's been in power, anyone that has been in government, have always wondered about the people that will take over from them, and that he's not different. He also wants to be in charge, because back in the States, that's what the governors do. He's right. The governors actually decide on who take over for them for various reasons. For various reasons. One, sometimes to cover their tracks when they're out of office. Others because they actually want to really, really have someone that can continue with their dreams, their plans, their aspirations, and all of that. You see that classical example in Borno State, where Zulu, who practically was chosen because of what the Governor Kashim said. Look, I need someone that will be able to do the job. And in spite of the big politicians that came around, he said, this is someone that I can't even dictate to. I want to take. It's one of the best examples of those kind of successive succession story. But this president now saying he wants someone that will continue his legacy. Some people are wondering what legacy. I mean, if anything, a lot of people believe that this president did not do very well, especially in the area of security, the area of corruption, even the fight against corruption, all sort of things. So to say that he wants someone that will take over for him to continue his legacy, there are Nigerians who are hearing that differently to say, what does it mean? It means at the end of the day, most people might not be really willing to go with this president's, chosen or anointed candidate. But now he's appealing to the governors to allow him to do that. But funny enough, he's also saying that the kind of person that he will be choosing will be someone that has that appeal, that can do the job. He's actually also reeling out the kind of qualities he wants from the person that will succeed him.
Quite interesting.
Yeah, you still haven't touched the issue going on in the APC, or is it alleged issue? Yeah. Some individuals are accusing the chairman of acting unilaterally.
I think that's very disturbing, Kenneth, because we're beginning to see a repeat of what the same kind of accusation that Oshomole, suffered, and that Adamu Abdullahi has acted as if he's the overlord. And that's they had a lot to say. Those members of the NWC, they said, look, we weren't elected to come and warm benches. You can't just take decisions. We are part and parcel of the decision making. One of the things that they say that is quite striking is that Abdullahi Adamu has a way of telling them that, well, it came from the president.
Yeah,
it's the president that asked me to do this. It's the president that asked me to do that. Unfortunately, they have no way of checking with the president to be sure that, okay, is this coming from you?
No, but even if the president...
Yes.
Even if he drops the name of the president, you'll expect that he will still call them together and carry them along.
Well, but that is also a way of trying to stop them in their tracks, to say, look, I did this because the president asked me to do it. And many things are going on. There are complaints coming from state about the conduct of those primaries and all sort of things, and people wondering whether Adamu Abdullahi is really getting this party together. He's not responded yet to the accusations, but the letter, or rather the petition, was very, very strong, and with two major members of the NWC signing and saying that this man acts unilaterally. Andy, you asked something about Ayu, when Clark took Ayu to the state.
Says a thoughtless,
exactly,
partial leader, he should resign. So it looks like both parties are having issues with their chairman.
Exactly. Emotions really flying, since after the primaries. This time around, Clark, who, in fairness to him, has actually stood there to say power should be shifted to the south. He's almost echoing what Wike said in the past, that look, his southern colleagues didn't help matters in swaying the presidency to the south, and that they're betraying. In fact, Clark actually used the same word of betraying. But of course, asking that Ayu, in fact, he actually said, are you visiting Tambuwal right after that and calling him a hero? It's also very clear that Ayu has been compromised and that Ayu should resign. But the truth of the matter is that this was politics, and that everyone was playing their card. He said he's shocked that Tambuwal could have just stepped down. But then again, politics is how you're able to reach to the people.
You just crowned it.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I mean, is this not somebody who loses and is crying? Because if you say he's thoughtless, he's partial, Tambuwal stepping down is arranged, of course these things will be arranged because somebody wants to win.
They get arranged because even Wike himself, surprisingly got those over 40 votes from Kano State. He got those, yes, if you do the anatomy of this result, you'll be shocked at some kind of shocking revelations on how the voting pattern. The voting pattern. If Wike went all the way, negotiated his way, and got Kano voters, so you begin to ask yourself what Clark is, our father Clark is talking about the fact that it was arranged. Politicians were doing their things, they were being smart about it, they were reaching out to people, doing their best. You can't really blame people for not voting for a particular person, because the question for them will be, why am I voting this person? What do I stand to get? What is the the payback? What's happening? So these are the sort of considerations.
And like you said yesterday, you said that the way he was talking, the way he talks, the brash nature, the way he undulates, that may be why they didn't want to vote for him.
You can't expect, for instance, that those states delegates are going to vote a week, considering the war of words that have happened between him and Obaseki. So this thing needs to be taken, seriously. It's not just about what Ayu did and what he didn't do, or what other politicians did. I mean, why did Tambuwal decide to side with Atiku instead of Wike? Or was it? And remember, who
supported in the last
time? So it's all about negotiations, and these politicians do a lot of that, intrigues, and they go. It's not about morality anymore. It's about what works for them.
Yeah, we'll find out how that decision turns out in the future. But just before we go, Emmanuel, in 60 seconds, the prelate of the Methodist Church is saying that the church paid 100 million naira ransom to get him out, and the paper, the Nation, is reporting that the kidnapped train passengers are lamenting, calling for help. It appears the federal government is not giving in to the demands of the terrorists. Where does that leave dozens of families?
Well, not just the families, but the rest of us, throughout Kenneth. It leaves everyone in that state of mind where we're really, really, the sense of insecurity. If you had any veneer, any covering of what you think you're secured, this takes it away. The Methodist prelate is coming to say, look, they actually paid those money. So it's not any effort by any of the security agents, from what the Methodist prelate is saying, that leads to rescue. And then you saw those footages of those train, Abuja train hostages. When you see those footages, when you hear them cry out, when you hear them, it's quite heart-rending. It takes away any sense of security you might even be having. You begin to know that you are practically on your own, and that's as we head into this election, those will have to be serious talking points around those seeking power.
And then before we just leave you, I mean, I'm just wondering that, I think I discussed this thing with Ken sometime. The government seems to be in a dilemma. Do you pay terrorists and get them out, or don't you pay terrorists and leave them there? All right, I guess we'll leave it. That's something that we'll have to really tinker with. But thank you so much, Emmanuel Bello there.